KL Publications presents Tailor Made by Jones Select by Ryan C. Sanders. Gary Jones sat on the steps of his grandmother's house, looking out over the neighborhood that had shaped him. His mind was a whirlwind of memories, some painful, some proud. He was an Afrocentric man, a product of challenging circumstances. Growing up without a father in a tight-knit but struggling household, it was just him, his mother, grandmother, and younger sister, scraping by in a world that didn't give them much. Growing up, Gary had a lot of questions about life, about manhood, about purpose. His father's absence left a void he couldn't fill, no matter how hard he tried. He found temporary answers in gangs, a brotherhood that at least on the surface seemed to provide the male guidance he so desperately craved. But as he grew older, the allure of the streets faded, and he turned to basketball, another escape from the harsh realities of his life. On the court, he could forget about his problems. He loved the feel of the ball in his hands, the way it moved with him like an extension of his body. He played to win, but more than that, he played to belong. Even as Gary wrestled with the pressures of his environment, something unique stood out about him. He had a way with people. He didn't realize it at first, but he had an ability to make others feel seen, valued, and understood. In his teenage years, this gift started to take shape. He noticed that no matter where he went, whether it was the basketball court, a skating rink, or a street corner, people gravitated toward him. They liked talking to him. He liked listening. He didn't have all the answers, but he had learned how to give people what they needed most: attention and respect. It wasn't until later, though, that he realized he could do something more with his talent. His first love, beyond sports and skating, was clothes. His mother used to take him to the thrift store where she'd find pieces of fabric and stitch them into new life. Watching her, he developed a love for craftsmanship. He learned that clothes were more than just fabric. They were an extension of who you were, how you wanted to present yourself to the world. As he got older, Gary's sense of style became legendary in his circles. He wore clothes differently, turning them inside out, removing the stitches, cuffing the sleeves, and somehow making it look all intentional. Soon enough, people began asking him to help them dress. At first, it was small things. "Hey, Gary, can you help me find a good fit for this event?" But eventually it became more. People wanted him to create looks that were just for them, unique to their personality and body. That's when the idea for Tailor Made by Jones Select was born. It started small, as most things do. He'd take a few old jackets, some secondhand trousers, and repurpose them into custom pieces for his friends. But word of his talent spread quickly, and soon he was being asked to make clothes for all kinds of people, from local business owners to up-and-coming rappers. He knew then that this was more than just a hobby. It was a calling. Gary wasn't content with just making clothes for his neighborhood. He wanted to think bigger. He dreamed of taking his designs to the world stage, where his Afrocentric roots could shine in his industry that rarely made space for people like him. He invested in trips to India, not just for inspiration, but to source materials. He found that India, with its rich history of textiles, offered exactly what he needed to create clothes that were not only stylish, but had a story. He wanted to innovate, remove stitches where they weren't needed, add bold colors that told tales of his African ancestry, and introduce ready-to-wear suits that would stand out in any room. But it wasn't just about the clothes. Gary knew that his greatest gift was how he made people feel. Every client who came to him felt like they were the most important person in the world for those hours they spent together. He learned that talking to people, listening to them, and understanding their needs was what made his work special. It wasn't just about fabric and thread. It was about confidence. He gave people clothes that made them feel powerful, unique, and seen. The journey wasn't always easy. Gary had to learn how to navigate the world of business, something no one in his family had much experience with. He learned quickly that networking was crucial. He read books like How to Talk to Anyone, mastering the art of conversation and persuasion. He discovered that success wasn't just about making a great product, it was about building relationships. His ability to communicate effectively became his greatest asset, just as much as his designs. Gary's story wasn't just about him, though. Everything he did with his son in mind. Growing up without a father left a hole in his heart, and he was determined not to let his son feel that same emptiness. He taught him everything he knew: how to skate, how to play ball, and most importantly, how to dream big. He wanted his son to know that no matter where you come from, you could create something beautiful, something meaningful. Gary's brand, tailor-made by Jones Select, became a symbol of that belief. It wasn't just a clothing line, it was a movement. Each piece was designed not to just be worn, but to be lived in, to carry the story of those who wore it. He started creating collections that reflected the struggles and triumphs of his community, collections that celebrated the resilience and creativity of Black culture. He partnered with local artists, held pop-up shops in every neighborhood that had once felt like traps, and gave back to the youth who reminded him of himself. As Jones Select grew, so did Gary's vision. He expanded his line to include everything from streetwear to formal attire, each piece a reflection of his journey. He introduced clothing with hidden messages like cuffs that could be turned up to reveal inspirational quotes, or jackets with secret pockets meant to hold small tokens of significance. His designs were thoughtful, intentional, and most importantly, personal. Gary Jones had come a long way from the boy with unanswered questions. He had found his purpose not in gangs or sports, but in people, in making them feel seen, in dressing them for success, and in helping them carry their stories with pride. His book, Tailor-Made by Jones Select, became a testament to that journey, a blueprint for young entrepreneurs who wanted to build something from nothing. In the end, Gary's story wasn't just about clothes or business. It was about legacy. It was about passing on the lessons he had learned to the next generation. Through his work, he had answered the questions that had haunted him for so long about manhood, purpose, and belonging. And now, he was teaching his son to ask his own questions and find his own answers. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe.